or even 90% slows down growth, because it didn't. And it wasn't in Japan and Switzerland, it was right here. And so that is not a good result. So when you say tax revenue, you know that that's misleading, because everything economically is at its highest in the 1950s and 60s, so hence we are collecting more overall taxes. But the reality is, as a percentage, it is 39%. It used to be at 91%. That's inarguable, right?
But our economy is significantly larger than it was then, and part of that is because of reductions in taxes over previous decades.
Well, we tried. It's not working out for you. So there's this myth that
it's working out for you. Your business is doing great.
Okay, yeah. Well, we just had 8 years of Obama. So the tax rate is clearly lower, 21%. Or for the richest people in the country, it is clearly lower, 39%. Or for corporations, in effect, it is. And so to say that it's a record collection is misleading. So in terms of the healthcare and government, oh, by the way, on one more thing on taxes, you said, name me a tax loophole. Mm-hmm. So yes, there are plenty of those. Let me try to address all that in your question as well. So just real quick, look guys, I said it however many questions ago. Of course, I never said there's no end to how much you can.
I'm just asking why, though.
Yeah. So this leads to wait a minute. This leads to big government versus small government. You're asking me what the ideal tax rate is, and then you did a straw man there for a second and said it should be 100%. In fact, I said
no. You said the economy. You said the economy grew faster when the top marginal tax rate was 91%.
I never said that.
No, so I'm asking you, why shouldn't the top tax rate or all tax rates be 91%?
I never said that.
No.
Now, look, when you, I use the example of the 91% and 70% to give you a sense of the
higher rate of growth with higher taxation. So I'm asking you, on principle, you keep talking about the glories of a mixed economy. So
I never said that.
No, now tell me about the glories of capital. I've heard about the glories of high tax rates. I've heard about the glories of government-provided health care. Now tell me some of the glories of actual capitalism, which is the basis for all the things you're talking. Tell me why it's good.
Right. So I was surprised, and you'd be surprised to find the exercise of finding the right tax rate is, guys, try to follow along, okay? It's called logic. So
it's a corporation. You have 80 employees. I assume that you're not just a greedy asshole.
No, but the corporations will look out for our interests.
You seem to be identifying a higher tax rate in the 1950s with higher level of growth. So if that's the case, why not just tax everybody at 100% and we can have massive growth from here to eternity?
Senate at 100%, the most amount of good for the country. Recirculates the money. So if you give it to the rich, this is hilarious. If you're uneducated, please at least don't. So, because
let me just ask, since we're talking about taxes, do you think we'll see tax reform in the next few months here?
Okay. So to answer Steve's question finally on tax reform, and Ben and I disagree on this too, because we just talked about it a second ago. And this is just political prognostication, but I think I'm right, and we'll all see this, because it's something that's going to happen later, not something that has happened. That the Republicans will definitely pass tax reform, and the reason I say that is because I think that their donors, the Republican Party at this point is completely dependent on their donors. And by the way, don't get me wrong.
In what? In what?
Don't make it obvious. I'll try to answer that as briefly as I can, and I'll go on to your questions. So when you talk about
end of life,
did a straw man there for a second and said, but you have to consider all the different factors. So one was that factor, and the other factor that was the one I mentioned. So when Republicans and conservatives say the system of non-competition in schools work, but it does. So now you can say there are other factors, but you can't say that the
end of life.